Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today's September 13th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery. You can see the marine layer along the California coastline infiltrating into some of the valleys all the way down into Southern California, including Ontario and Burbank, starting to burn back as we move through the late morning hours. If you look closely, you can see Lake Tulare, and that might be hanging around for a while depending on how much moisture we get across California here as we go through the fall, winter, and spring months, and how much snowpack we can build up across the Sierra Nevada. Again, if you look closely here on the GOES 18 satellite imagery, you can see some of the very highest terrain still has some snowpack on it. And we're going to be doing the thunderstorm activity across the Sierra Nevada here today and maybe tomorrow across Nevada, Arizona, Utah. Severe threat across Arizona. We'll look at those details here in a moment. I don't show this one much. This is the high resolution rapid refresh 12Z run that goes out 48 hours. This is showing visibility, so it picks up on the marine layer along the coastline pretty well. And as you go through the afternoon hours, you burn back a lot of that marine layer. Then it redevelops in the overnight and morning hours, and you can even see some of the eddy action here on this high resolution model. So interesting stuff there. I'll try to show this from time to time when it warrants. This day in SoCal weather history. Check it out, September 13th. Again, the big headline maker for this time of year is thunderstorm activity. 1959, 99, 2011, even a funnel cloud near Paris. Hail accumulated near Wrightwood. Flash flood swept over roads in Pinion Hill. So, you can have the interesting stuff here. We can get tropical storm remnants and some monsoon moisture still across California this time of year, including Arizona, of course, Nevada, and Utah. This is looking at Las Vegas National Weather Service talking about the isolated thunderstorms again today, then generally drying out through the weekend. Then they talk about the return chance of precipitation. Granted, it's not a strong signal, but we'll take a look at it here anyway in a moment. This is day one, thunderstorm outlook across the Sierra Nevada. You can see that severe threat across central southeast portions of Arizona, mainly a wind, hail, and possible some localized flooding associated with that. Day two, kind of kicking off to the east a bit here, but we could kick off some thunderstorms across the higher terrain of the Sierra Nevada again tomorrow as well. And this is looking at the excessive rainfall outlook. I'll show this from time to time. About a 5% chance with any 25 given miles of some flash flooding conditions here with some of those stronger storms across Arizona. And you can kind of see it here in the NAM, the high resolution model. As we go through the afternoon, towards the evening and nighttime hours, we start to wind down that activity quite a bit, and we kick off the thunderstorms again, possibly tomorrow. And as you can see, that would include some of the Sierra Nevada here as well, and even maybe some drizzle associated with some thicker areas of the marine layer along the California coastline. Now, taking a look at the GFS, 18,000 feet, 500 millibars, put this into motion. You can see the troughing still across some of the southwest. Ridge built into the Pacific Northwest. Upper level low is going to hang out here, keeping things seasonable for California. And what I wanted to point out here, sometimes if you look at these GFS runs far enough out, you'll see that they develop these phantom tropical systems. Not that this couldn't happen here, but really you got to wait for the European to come around with this before you start getting concerned about it at all. So we'll just watch this over the next few days to see if the GFS is on to anything. And now looking at the GFS of the 12Z run here, let's update this because I want to see if it shows it again here this morning. And this is running as we speak. So let's go ahead and let this play out. Upper level trough there. We'll continue to speed ahead. Look at this interesting trough drop down across the Pacific Northwest here as well. This is a little bit actually a big change from the previous run here, as this trough was much more progressive moving across the Intermountain West, but you can see that digs out quite nicely over Northern California. So we'll watch that. Now let's look to see if we can see any semblance. It does show a little bit of that tropical system out here. That's where about the end of the 12Z European is right now. Some pretty impressive troughing off the west coast of North America as well. This is purely fantasy once you go this far out, but this trough that drops down in the 150, 160 hour time frame is definitely something we'll be watching over the next few days. We'll see how this evolves as we go. Now looking at the European, this is yesterday afternoon's run. Let's put this into motion here. The 12Z European is not running. It runs later than every other model. Ridge building across Pacific Northwest. Trying to kind of look out here to see if any kind of tropical development, and really not seeing it here on the European. But it does swing some interesting troughs down across some of the Pacific Northwest. But as you can see in that similar time frame here, it has this trough kind of swinging through north and dropping some kind of cutoff system across California here, but would be very weak. So we'll be watching this over the next few days to see if the GFS and the European come into agreement in that 150-hour time frame or so. This is looking at 24-hour precipitation. This is the GFS and the 12Z run, and you'll see as we go to the next few days, you can see some of this thunderstorm activity across the Sierra Nevada here, but not a big overall precipitation signal here for the next few days. But it could include even some of the coastal range in Northern California as we go through Saturday afternoon. You see it pop up there a little bit there? So we'll be watching that as we go. And we scroll off far enough into the future, and then you see that trough driving down across some of the Intermountain West, Pacific Northwest, and interesting precipitation signal showing up with that, but low confidence in something that far out right now. And plus, the models have been switching up quite a bit here. We'll probably take a look at some of the ensemble members tomorrow to try to see if there's any agreement in this trough developing here. Just kind of fantasy forecast at this point. Here's Sacramento, California. You can see things generally seasonable here. No big heat wave looming. This red line marks the average temperature this time of year. The slow, steady decline here as we go towards the end of September. Bakersfield, California, something similar there. No big heat wave coming up, but it's some above average temperatures here as you go through the weekend, as you can see. Eureka, California. If you do not like temperature swings, this is the place for you. Look at the highs and the lows this time of year for Eureka, California. And really, it doesn't change even through much of the year, and you can see the average temperature not even really falling off that much by the time you get towards the end of September. But look at these highs, 60, the low of 52 here. So if you don't like temperature swings, that's a place for you. Truckee, Tahoe, California, check it out as you start to go through the end of September. A lot of times will be the coolest place in the lower 48 states here, pretty high elevation as well. But you can see some pretty chilly overnight lows coming up as we go through September, and that's where the Truckee, Tahoe airport is there, kind of by Donner Pass out there north of Lake Tahoe. Interesting stuff there. Now looking at Palm Springs, a little bump in temperatures and kind of seasonable here, up a level low hanging around the area as we go through next week. Burbank, California, no big heat signal coming up here as well. Phoenix, cross your fingers out there across some of Arizona, and maybe the 110 degree days are finally done, but you can see kind of the bump in the heat here as we go through the weekend, then a bit more seasonable for the following week. This is Las Vegas, Nevada, something similar here as well. This is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook here. You can see we still have this below average signal across some of the area. We'll see how this trends over the next few days. And the precipitation does include portions of California with possibly above average as we go September 20th through the 26th. Now, I picked out a fantasy forecast here just for some fun. This was, I believe, modeled member number 5 of yesterday afternoon's European run. Look at this impressive trough. It drops down across the area through the end of September here. Purely fantasy. It's just a novelty. It's just something fun to dream about and look at this point. Just kind of showing you that you can look at individual and ensemble members here and kind of pick out some of your own fantasy forecasts if you want. Not to be taken seriously at all. It's just a novelty. This is Siskiyou County Airport up there in Northern California. You can kind of see as you go through September, you can kind of see the ensemble spread for the 500 millibar heights here, kind of showing the potential for some troughing to come in here. But really, as you can see in the control and the mean, nothing too impressive incoming. And at 850 millibars, about 5,000 feet, you can kind of see some troughs may try to swing through the area. But, it's so far out there that it's just purely fantasy. Really, very little confidence in these forecasts the further you look out. Just kind of showing you that eventually, as we go through the end of September on into October, some of these systems can start coming towards the West Coast a bit. And if we look, I showed that ensemble member number 5, Siskiyou County Airport, and you can see the precipitation that a trough with that, the potential for it would bring anyway, showing 2 inches in a 24-hour period. Just purely a fantasy forecast. You can see most ensembles do not agree with that. Some of them are showing some precipitation at that range, but you can see the control run, the initial conditions, the best we understand them, do not show any precipitation at all. And that's where Siskiyou County Airport will be located. And anyway, I'm working on that El Nino video here. I keep waiting. They usually come out around the 10th or 11th, that new data, and it's the 13th now. So I don't know if they're delayed or if this is just how they're planning it out. But I'm still waiting for that data before I release the video. Still finishing a few things up. So stay tuned for that here over the next couple of days. Sorry to keep stringing you guys along there, but eventually I will have that El Nino update video out here shortly. And anyway, I hope you guys are liking the channel. Click like, subscribe. I'll do my normal briefing tomorrow, and hopefully that El Nino data comes out here so I can finish that video up. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.